So we're going to do a story time a little different. But I'm going to try to see if I got enough time, which I think I do, to give you guys an idea on what, and this is an Adventures of DP story, if you will. What was it like for me becoming a Citrix administrator? And I'm going to kind of dive into this is going to be a pre-story. This is going to be a pre-story from the years of, I'm going to kind of start it off, and we're going to be jumping back and forth between different years maybe. But I'm going to probably have to start this off around 2011. Okay, so I'm kind of giving y'all a little bit of a story, so to say, while driving down McKnight. Now, before I get into these stories, if I get into it like I want, because I'm on the way to an appointment, McKnight Street is a long street that covers from Maplewood, Minnesota, all the way through Battle Creek and ends up as far as Oakdale. Sometimes I'll take my son on this drive back and forth. It goes all the way up past Battle Creek Park. Let's see if I can adjust this just a little bit, so it's a little bit better for you guys. It's okay. It's a little better. It's a little better. I'll get some new equipment for this stuff, because I think that you guys may want a better, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so now it goes all the way up. You could take McKnight, and then there's cross streets like Maryland and stuff like that. They're building some properties. It brings you all the way to Oakdale. Maplewood land area is actually a lot larger than you would think. It's actually quite large. It's about 40 to 50,000 people. A good diverse, so to say, portfolio of people. You have a pretty nice size Hmong population that I've been seeing. You have, that's 36 right here. The 36, of course, that brings you to Minneapolis. I've been on 36 many a moon with you guys doing these Adventures of DP story times. So now 36 is a highway that I used to use a lot as I started to come out to St. Paul. Now, I would have never come out to St. Paul, until I start dating my wife. I wasn't a St. Paul dude. So all of my business and everything was in Minneapolis. So I really wasn't coming out to St. Paul unless I was getting some money. Eventually I started working out there, and we'll get to that in a moment. So at the beginning, I'll say, of 2010, after my shop closed, I started looking for work. Remember, I had my store open on Minnehaha One Stop Shop for about a year or so, where me and my buddies all got together. And so my first real deployment kind of job, that was around 2011. You see, that was around 2011. Now, I was out in Bloomington. I won't say the name of the company, but I did a story time all about that before, when I believe it was racial, but that wasn't the lawsuit that I went for. It was a disability lawsuit. They said that I couldn't work because they were lying and saying things that about, I couldn't spray compressed air because of my allergies and all this. So I ended up suing this company, and I won. I didn't get how much I wanted, but had I would have known now I would have got a lawyer right when they would have found probable cause. I would have went and got a real lawyer to get some real injury money. I would have been probably sitting on a couple $100 grand, maybe half a ticket. But I didn't know. And so, you know, I took the little money and, you know, they probably thought about like, well, you know, and then, you know, then what they do is they start talking about training. So, you know, after that, because keep in mind, now, we just talking, and then now, I'm 1 month into this job, and I'm fired. Because the recruiting agency says I'm a liability because of my injury, the surgery I was going to get. So y'all remember that story. All right, so now, that was 2010. So, I ended up finding a job out in Burnsville, Minnesota, in the hundreds. I just got a new offer out in Burnsville for an IP video surveillance company. They used to be hooked up with a third-party company called Milestone. Now, as you can see, we coming up on Larpenteur. We're still on McKnight. I'm gonna pull around to 120 in a little bit. How much time I got? Okay, I got time. Okay, off to the left, there's a gas station, and they got snacks galore. Them Indians got so many snacks, you better not go in that place, because you gonna get the rap snacks and all that little dirt snacks and Master P snacks and all. And them things salty, but them, I ain't gonna lie, them things is good. Off to the right, there's a little pizza spot. So if you're on McKnight and Larpenteur, you just want a slice of pizza, it's off to your right. Further off to your right, or is that off to your left? I think more further off to your left, there's a private school. Now, if you look what they're doing right here, off to your right, I've taken this many a moon. I've always taken this. When I worked in St. Paul and in Oakdale, I took this furiously. Now, if you look right here, when they talk about, well, ain't no money out here, they building their ass up. Look how far I'm driving. You see this structure right here? I think some of this is going to be housing, or it's going to be a warehouse. This used to be like a golf field, or it's an entire infrastructure. And I'm kind of interested to what they're building, because it goes on for blocks and blocks and blocks. And you see deliveries. McGo is doing the construction, so I'm seeing some houses. I should have pulled up in there just to kind of show y'all, but you know, in a lot of time. Well, brother walking there. McKnight is probably one of the most, to me, is one of the most beautiful streets. When you coming down, you really get to see some real money coming on around here too. It's some houses that over here where you be like, okay, those are nice. Like, so now, when I started working at that IP video surveillance company, I worked there for a while. This is Maryland right here. That brings you to the east side off to the right. And then there's a very, very nice lake, or whatever they call it. I don't know what kind of lake this is, but it's some kind of lake. Beaver Lake. Beaver Lake. Very, very nice lake. So then we gonna bust a left up here. So what I ended up doing, I worked at this company. That's where I got my Apple Mac experience. That was a story I told you where my Tahoe broke down, you know, and I was on the bus for like a little while because I bought this janky Tahoe, you know what I'm saying, in Columbia Heights, which I should have never did. So I deserve every bit of smoke I got out of that situation, just for being goofy and buying a car out there. So we busting the left right here. And this is Stillwater Avenue. Stillwater, and let me tell y'all about Stillwater. This brings you damn near to Stillwater through my Lake Elmo and all that. Stillwater is another major road, and we might go down Stillwater one day. But Stillwater goes all the way down to Lake Elmo, and that's where you get some big money out there. It's just it's kind of a so-called rural area. They don't want too much out there. You gotta have a half a ticket if you're gonna buy something out there. It ain't gonna be cheap, but you know, you're paying for what you want. You know what I'm saying? You're not real far out the city, But so now yeah, we on Stillwater. So we just what I'm doing is I'm gonna be kind of cutting through, you know, Oakdale. I'm gonna get it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get off on 120. I could take this all the way to Stillwater, go my other little way. Let me decide what I want to do here. Because I kind of want to show y'all how nice these damn houses is over here, but I think what we'll do is we'll just go down 120, which is Division. There's about 3 names for 120. I spent a lot of time. This is Oakdale's main street. There's Sarpino's Pizza. They used to be good. That shit's trash now. Now right here, they look like they got a coffee shop. They're remodeling the stores right here. So now we're on 120, aka Division, aka Geneva. So 120, Division, Geneva, all the same. It literally has 3 names. So I'm working at this IP video surveillance company. I'm learning my Apple Mac stuff. My childhood breaks down. And then around June, one of my closest friends is killed. So, you know, I'm going into work somber, and you know, my mom's sick during that time. I gotta break my mom the news. I really didn't want to tell her because she loved them, you know. But so I'm going to work. These folks want to know. I guess they must have seen my face. Well, what's wrong with you? And you know, you can't really talk to them people like that. They don't really got a lot of remorse about stuff like that. So, you know, I'm just and so I get tired of, you know, I'm out there without no car and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I find the opportunity in downtown Minneapolis. Now, this Minnehaha House off to your right on the east side. McDonald's is off right here. They used to have quite a few bad little chocolate things. Used to be working at that McDonald's. So we're still going down. I was supposed to, okay, hold on. Let me turn up in here. I wonder if I could come up out of here. Now there's some decent little cool houses, that's kind of around here. I made a wrong turn. I was supposed to make a left. I'm so used to giving y'all, let me see if I can still come up out of here. So we're on Gershon Avenue. There's some cool little houses kind of off over here. So yeah, okay. So yeah, I could come back around here. It's some cool little ducked off houses. There ain't really a lot of bus lines over here, which if you're trying to be ducked off, it's cool. So this whole little area right here, this little Oakdale area, it's decent. The post office is right there. Because Maplewood, we ain't got our damn post office. We got to go to North St. Paul out in Maplewood. So, you know, I'm dealing with that. I got to go down here. How much time we got? Got another 10, 15 minutes. Okay. So, I'm dealing with that. I end up, you know, I'm still taking the bus out there a little while. I find a new position. And this is the place I have my own office. Where I told y'all the white guy walks in and says, "Hey, you got your own office. Your office is bigger than mine." I had the biggest office in the building, y'all. But I kind of maximized my growth there. There wasn't really nothing else for me to learn. And I'm looking at the money I'm making. I'm making $20 an hour. And I'm still not knowing around this time. You got to think I'm in my early 20s or something like that. Like I'm still not knowing what I'm really supposed to be making. You know, my brain is still developing. They say a man's brain develops all the way to what, damn near 30. So I still don't know shit. I mean, I know a whole lot more than a lot of my counterparts as far as how I got into the game on my own and doing stuff like that. And it's Hadley right here. This is the spot, you know, I could get my eye exam over here. There's a Cub and there's like a little place. The D spots over here. There's a lot of spots over here. And Hardee's. Man, they mushroom and Swiss. I still like the mushroom and Swiss at Hardee's. So, you got a Hardee's over here. They still doing strong with their curly fries. I've always liked the Cub Foods over here. That's why I like living over in Oakdale, because it's like that small town city feel. But, you know, the amenities of 694 is right over here. Don't really mess with the Burger King. But yeah, that D-Spot place over there, they got a Dollar Tree. The Cub is real nice. They got quite a few different businesses over there. The Hy-Vee's off to your left. So I'm just kind of telling black folks, if you want to move somewhere and you're thinking about and you don't really want to mess with Brooklyn Park or Brooklyn Center, Maplewood might be something you might want to consider. Oakdale. Maplewood's right by Oakdale. You're right on 694. A couple little clinics over here. There's a great dental place right up here. They always treated me right. That's why I go back. Okay. And if you keep on going, you're gonna end up in Lake Elbow another 3-4 miles. For a little less than that. And then you pretty much cross the street and you're gonna be in Woodbury. You're gonna be in Woodbury. It's a few black folks out in Woodbury. The IHOP's right here. We don't really mess with that. That US Bank right there is janky. Don't mess with them. You know what I'm saying? Now off to the right, if you know, kind of around this area, I used to work at an insurance company called AIG. That was where I had the lead tech. This is where me and the brother, when I was getting trained in from the brother from Texas, we had to kind of decolonize this tap dancing Negro from Nigeria or somewhere from West Africa. We had to kind of let that nigga know what the rules were. This is right over here. This is where the dude was up there talking about baby mamas and black Americans are lazy and we should kiss the white folks' ass and all this kind of stuff like that, and his visa ended up getting canceled. It was right over here. We was trying to help the nigga, like, look, dude, this ain't a good look for you. Okay, I gotta turn around again. I keep on. Yeah, so this Lake Elmo right here. This Lake Elmo, y'all, and it keeps on going and it keeps on going. So, you know, all I gotta do is I gotta turn around again. Inwood Avenue is right there. So I just made it, you know, but I should be on time. I should be cool. So I get downtown. There's a marketing company, a marketing firm. And that was the one where I told y'all where I met the DEI sister, where the sister was saying, hey, I'm managed to be the DEI mascot. She just flat out told me. This is around 2011 at this marketing firm. I wasn't there that long, because they was pulling all them stunts and stuff. This was the one where the sister in Chicago had all these degrees up the yin yang, and the little white lady they gave her the job. Little white girl with no degree, didn't know shit. They gave her the job. Little badass Chicago sister. If y'all saw her, you would be like, if the brothers that listen to this channel, if you saw her, you would marry this bro. That's how bad she was. And she wasn't just, you know, she reminded you of Claire Huxtable damn near, man. She was from Chicago. You could tell she came from money. You know, but she wasn't no coon. You know what I'm saying? She came from money. She came from a couple dollars. And they done gave that sister the job. But she was a real sister. She wasn't no, you know what I'm saying? She was a real sister. So I'm sitting up in there, and I'm working with this network engineer. He's a $5 Indian. I gotta tell y'all about him. So he's up there lecturing me about conservatism and black on black crime and you know, Section 8 and all this kind of stuff like that. And he says he's a native. He's a straight $5 Indian, straight Leonardo DiCaprio. So that was the kind of environment or whatever. You know, so they had all these little DEI rules. I didn't really know a lot about it around that time. I just knew it just felt like some fake ass affirmative action, which what it was. Because the sister said, yeah, I'm the diversity and inclusion officer or something like that. I said, a what? She said, man, I mind the store. She said, I mind the store. That's what I do. She said, because these motherfuckers racist up in here. So they hired me to deal with it. I said, okay. So they ended up, you know, I ended up getting laid off up there, and they gave me, let me see, is it Elmo? I think I'm supposed to turn, yeah. They gave me a big ass fucking check. So I wasn't mad. And it was unemployment at that time too. And to see off to your left, off 10th Street. Matter of fact, man, when I leave, I'm gonna take y'all on a tour over there so I can really give y'all a breakdown. Not too much over here, but there's a little dental place right here that I always go to. Oakdale Family Dentistry, man. They do excellent damn work. You know, I don't just advocate for places like that. You see even the rabbit standing in front of there. He's like, yeah, nigga, this place is this is official. So I'll holler at y'all when I come back out of here, but let me see, let me pull up a little bit more. You know, for y'all got pets, any cat ladies, there's a little right here that's, you know, giving y'all the lay of the land here. But yeah, so what I ended up doing, I got up out of there. They gave me I mean, this check, I was so happy with this check. Most people, when they laid off, they be like, oh man, and all that. And so then that's when I started kind of doing a lot of contracting. Now, keep in mind, this was 2011. Now, let's reverse real quick before I jump back in. When I was working there at this place, this IP video surveillance company, they started sending the HR in there to check on me several times a day. Like, okay, basically to micromanage me. There was never a ticketing system there at all. I implemented a ticketing system. So when people had an issue, they just kind of walk up. So there was literally nothing for you to do all day, literally. You know, so I started implementing training programs, how to show people how to use Apple Macs. That's how I started to kind of learn how to get up in front of groups of people. So the CEO was kind of showing me that, but they started having the HR come in. And I think that was part of the reason that the sales guy was coming into my office talking about the size of my office. So it was almost like that Rosewood mentality, you know. So now in hindsight, I was making more money downtown Minneapolis. There was more law and order, but the small, and there was a few conservatives that worked there too in Burnsville. But again, I got back into, and see, I didn't understand this dynamic. I got back into going to a place with more law and order, but more undermining, versus the small company that paid a little less. And I probably wasn't going to learn too much more, but I wasn't really going to be able to grow. But when I moved and went downtown and worked at this marketing firm for a little while, I won't say the name. They changed the name anyway. But I'm going to tell you, this place right here, I knew I wasn't going to last long, but they gave me so much damn money that I kind of took it and ran with it. I had a new car at the time. You know, I was doing all right to be in my early 20s. I'm saying for my field of peers is what I'm saying. So we'll pick this up again. All right, we back at it. So running out of this appointment, so we gonna go right over to the site. And the reason why I like to kind of do some of these things and take y'all around the town is so y'all could get an understanding on the upbringing. And damn, why'd I go this way? This is a one-way. Y'all probably won't be out this way too much. I never know where you're gonna go. So what I'm gonna do, yeah, this is in Oakdale, y'all. This is a decent part of town. Real decent, real nice. Got a couple dollars. You can elect to stay here if you can find you a spot versus going to Woodbury. Now this is home furniture right over here. So I'm giving y'all like a self autobio / career / little tour of the city, so to say, you know, of the areas that were in what we call the adventures of DP. But for my new listeners, this is I'm going through the mindset of my career and what I was doing and the places that I went and all of that, and then kind of get, you know, sprinkling some stuff in. So, you know, you kind of you might get a little random thought here and a little story there and whatnot, because I'm kind of moving around in the city. But I'm thinking, like I told y'all, I'm thinking about some camera equipment, because I want to get some of this oral history down, and I might start kind of venturing off and messing with the city a little bit in that regard, and maybe interviewing people and things of that nature. Maybe I should start doing that, you know, because I know there's people that's much more interesting than what I got to say. Off to your right, now this is 10th Street and Helmo. Off to your right, what do we got? Let me see here. I'm kind of getting discombobulated. Off to your right, I believe there's 694. That will bring you out to Bloomington. So I might do a Bloomington story one day where I jump on 694 and I'll take you out there to, you know, I actually, matter of fact, to keep it real, I actually got to go out there in a couple weeks. We'll do that. This is a very beautiful piece. There go Platinum Bank. I applied there a few times for like some IT stuff. Didn't really get a, you know, call back. You can see this area got a couple dollars. You can look and tell. You can easily see when an area got a few bucks. So, I'm gonna have to fast forward a lot to was it 2014, 2015 maybe? Was it 20? Oh yeah, it was 2014, I believe. August is when I started this contract out here in Oakdale, and it kind of worked out pretty good, to be quite honest. Being out there, like, this was my first position where I was in so much of a lead role, you know. I was pretty much the lead, and I used to come out here. I got like 3 of my homies hired. It would have been 4 or 5. One of the guys that I used to hang out with, that I met from Travelers. I met a lot of these dudes from Travelers when I was at Travelers Insurance, but they couldn't pass the damn drug test. They done switched it up a little bit, so I'm gonna have to, damn, this looks a little different. Okay, it's over here. All right, that's why. See, they done put up all these apartments and stuff like that, and they got a bus station. So we gonna look at that bus station or whatever that is in a minute. I figure I got time today. Yeah, I'm gonna use this sick time. But this looks completely different. None of this was over here like that. You see, they're doing a lot of construction. Do not believe the hype that Minnesota don't got no damn money and these places ain't got no money. There is money. Now, they're not gonna give it to you. But let's pull up right here. I think this was it. All right, 7555. I believe this was the building right here. I'm about 100% sure the building was right here. So, this building, and I used to park right here. It's something different now. It used to be called AIG. But I used to park right over here. Man, this right here, now, keep in mind, when I started in August 2014, my mom was very, very sick. So I'll kind of get into that another time. But you basically, my mom was very sick. She died in November. So I was still working. There was no bereavement time. I was a contractor or whatever. So I just kind of sit at work and just listen to my Miles Davis and stuff. I had hired my homie, brother Elmy, the one I did, the brother I told to go ahead and get that CCNA, and now he's at a big energy company. I did, you know, I hired him. He kind of helped me out with my grief or whatever, because I didn't really, it wasn't like a time where I just sat and grieved. So he was kind of just talking to me and just be like, you know, just hollering at me. And let's go down here and see what's going on before this truck comes real quick. And then I'm gonna turn around just so we can see. Okay, now this is some kind of bus station or something going on here. I think this goes over to Woodbury. There's 694 over here. So I don't know where the hell this goes. Let's see where it goes. But this is, whatever it is new. So let's see how far it goes. And then I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna get back to where I need to be. You see 694 and 494 on the side. Let's see where this brings us. Hudson Road. Now Hudson Road, that brings you back towards St. Paul, right? Off to your right, more likely. Now, if you go to your left, you're going to get deeper into Woodbury. So, I was looking at some properties out here some years back before I purchased my first home. And I did notice this little fence or whatever this little thing is. I don't know what this thing is for. But I'm going to turn around. This is the new Gold bus. And I guess it goes all the way out. I think it stops in 3M. Look, they building something else it looks like or something. I mean, it's a lot going on. It's a whole lot going on here. You see Bell Bank right there. That's actually where I got my mortgage. It's off to your left. You can't really see it too well. So now we're on Bylandburg Drive. So I'm gonna try to turn around in a minute here. Actually, one of my first interviews out of my internship, let's go back to 2008. I took an internship, and then I was looking for work, and Robert Half was sending me to Assurant. Assurant Insurance is out here. Actually, off to the right, when I remodeled my bathroom, I put my wife and kids up at that hotel. So this Tamarack Road, I really don't need to keep on going. I'm gonna bust a left right here. I'm gonna bust a left right here because I don't want to keep on going. Now, right now, y'all, we in Woodbury. This the land of milk and honey. You gonna need some paper out here. You gonna need some serious paper I'm talking about if you trying to play for real. I'm talking about if you really trying to play for real, you gonna need some paper. You ain't gonna find nothing. You take a look at it. Yeah, you ain't gonna come out here with less than 400, a $500,000. You just not. You know, when you start hearing words like hills, Tamarack Hills, and all this kind of stuff and whatnot, you know, and they're doing a lot of construction, so that's not necessarily great. All right, do I want to get on 494? Or what do I want to get on? What do I want to do here? I really don't want to get on the freeway, to be quite honest. But let me see, 494 North is what I might have to do to get back. Let's see, I'll just go ahead and jump on 494 North. Minnesota's a big giant circle, y'all. You cannot really get lost. You can just get back on the highway. You know, it's hard to get lost. You're not really gonna get lost. Turn the AC on for a little bit. Hopefully y'all can still hear me and whatnot. So I'm just gonna jump on the freeway a little bit. But as I was saying with AIG, that was a good. I learned a lot. I learned about preferred vendors. I talked about that a little bit. So 94 East, so we want to get on 94 West. Or do I want to get on 694? There's a lot of highways you can get on. Now I could take the St. Paul highway, or I could just jump, St. Paul, which maybe I'll just do that. So I can just jump on White Bear, one of these places, and kind of take y'all around a little bit. 94 West. Let's see. Do I want to get on 694? I want to get on 694. Yeah, I'm gonna just stay on 694. I'm gonna just go ahead and stay on 694. And what I might do is just get off on 10th. Now we're back towards Oakdale. Behind me is Woodbury. So you could take the streets to Woodbury. Like sometimes people got to do that because the highways in the winter it'd be so bad. So you might literally have to, if you live in Maplewood or any of these places or St. Paul, sometimes you might have to take the streets, man, because it's so bad. So I'm not gonna get back on 10th. I'm just gonna get off at the next exit. Back to AIG, because I know I'm jumping around a lot, y'all. I know I'm doing a lot of jumping around. AIG was the people that handled the contract was Dell. And I went through a company in Plano, Texas, a recruiting firm. which I actually should reach out to some of those old contacts and see if they got anything. They mainly focus on Texas, but they had a contract up here. So you'll have different agencies. Well, red-tailed hawk. You got different agencies that, you know, much like the contract I'm on now, some of them might be in New Jersey and New York, a bunch of them in Jersey. Because in Jersey, I guess they say it's a little cheaper to be across the track, across the bridge. So that gave me my lead experience. That position kind of changed my life, so to say. Before that, I had been, you know, I pretty much have been doing a lot of contracting from, I say, you know, 2012. That was my first contract in Columbia Heights. So I'm gonna take y'all over there again one of these days. Gonna go get you a gyro. You go to Columbia Heights, you gotta get you a gyro. I gotta see if there's some black owned spots over there. But when I think of Columbia Heights, I just think of Middle Eastern food. I'm gonna be honest. They got some slamming Middle Eastern food over there, especially them buffets down there off of Central. So we'll get off at the next exit, whatever it is, and we'll see if I can still jump on if I can jump on an express, I'll jump on an express. If not, all right. Now what is this here? Okay, so we'll get off on 14. That's what we'll do. If I got to take a longer bus to get to work, fine, I will. Okay, now, so we getting off on 14, as they call it. Off to your right, you keep going, you're going to be in Lake Elmo. We not going to take Lake Elmo. We going to bust a left. I spent a lot of time in this area around my quote-unquote AIG times. Now, I moved to Oakdale in 2015. I had an old school, somebody broke in my car. I had two cars at that time. Somebody broke into my old school, or they broke into a lot of stuff on when I was on Mini High, and that was it for me. So I just went and got a big ass house out in Oakdale. I just went and found a house, man. You know, and then I rented that out, which I should have just bought it. I should have just bought something out there. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. That was very stupid. I should have just bought something. But I ended up just leasing. There's a big place called Invitation Homes, and I think they're hooked up with Blackstone. You know, during the recession, you know, Blackstone and a lot of them real estate places, they were responsible for that recession, man. They did a bunch of flim flam, and they got bailed out and all this kind of stuff. But Invitation Homes, what they did is they actually benefited from it. Invitation Homes, they bought all them properties. When that recession, go look this up. Don't take my word for it. I might be missing a little bit of information. Man, Invitation Homes and Blackstone, all them real estate places, when the recession hit, they bought all them houses for the dirt and they start renting them out. Very smart, to be quite honest. I used to get my red box over to the left. That's when the DVDs. We were still doing DVDs. That wasn't that long ago, y'all. We wasn't streaming like that. About 2014, 2015, I mean, I started, you know, but I was still messing with the red box. Faithfully. I burned the DVDs. Now, for the sake of just doing it, I'm just going to slide down the old block that I did stay. I'm just going to kind of slide around a little bit. There's like a little swamp back in some of these areas. It's a pretty, I liked it. I really liked it over here because I used to walk down to the gas station all the time. You know what I'm saying? This was around the time, and when I lived over here, eventually I would start working as a citrus administrator. But let's go back to after AIG. I started doing some work with a company out in Boston for a little while. That didn't really work out. Y'all heard my old Storytime. He sounds like he's from Dorchester. They were doing all that. So I just passed by the house. Gosh, oh my goodness. Man, they got the old crib looking bogus. A lot of black folks on this side. This is the Granada Lakes townhomes. So that's like, you know, their little, you know, townhomes / projects or whatever it is. So it's like a low income, a lot of black folks over there, poor whites. If you go off right off of 40th and keep going down off to your right here, that's where the big houses, a lot, you know, it reminds you of McKnight. It really 40th reminds you of McKnight. And it's very, 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 it's kind of hilly. So now we're driving down 40th right now. I used to walk. This was my walk. This is my daily walk. I'll take a coffee, and I mean, this is one of the best blocks in Oakdale, if you ask me. I mean, you could walk forever. You could walk forever. Now, there's like a little farmland that's off of McKnight I forgot to take y'all to. So sometimes I will come down here. A lot of black folks stay over here, right off to the right. A lot of geese you can see. So I'm gonna bust. I'm supposed to be busting a right. Now you can see this gas station. This used to be a gas station, pizza factory. I'm gonna pull in real quick so y'all can see. It started getting real sketchy. It started getting real sketchy after a while. I ain't gonna lie. But there's been many a moon where I took the 219, like if my car broke down or I want to transfer, whatever, I would take a 219, get off in North St. Paul, which I'm probably gonna do just for the sake of y'all seeing. North St. Paul is kind of being built up a little bit. It's nice. They have a lot of car shows and stuff like that. So we're still in kind of, you know, 2014, 2015. So let me pull into this janky ass gas station. Now right here on the corner, this pizza factory, they used to make some mean sandwiches. This might be an opportunity. I want y'all to take a look at this. Somebody put the F word, N word, B word. And then they drew some genitalia. I don't know why. that must have been some little. Now this right here, just so y'all know, this used to be the pizza factory. I don't know who owns this property right now. The reason why I'm showing y'all this, black folks, if you think about some businesses, there's some offices that don't look like they're being used at all. So whoever gets let this go, I'm just saying, they let this completely go. But where chaos is opportunity. And I want y'all to see this right here. Somebody got a semi truck parked in the back. This remind me of the building that was in the mayor of Kingston or whatever. That new thing that Hawkeye, Marvel white dude Hawkeye. Yeah, it looked real janky. But here's my point. Is that opportunity? I'm just saying. You might be able to come in there and be like, look, you might be able to make some apartments out of that joint. Throw a studio. We got a lot of rapping ass niggas in Minnesota, so you know they think they can rap. So throw a studio up in there. But a lot of people, they don't want to pay for studio time or beats, so you know. But anyway, so yeah, you might be able to do some kind of before the grant thing. Everybody done scammed up the grants. So before the grant thing gets messed up, you might be able to do like an IT certification class for the next joint. I'm just keeping an open mind. I'm saying, you know, hey, that might be worth something. Okay, I was supposed to probably bust it right. I was gonna show y'all that. Okay, that's okay. So we in North St. Paul. They got some cool little parks. The power grid is a little old, so just want to let y'all know that. Some of the places are hilly. They got some cool. They got a couple of houses. It reminds you of it really truly reminds you of a small town. So let me bust a right here. It kind of reminds you of a small town. So I'm gonna take you over North St. Paul. It's really not too much. It's not a lot of stores, but they got some cool. They got some bars and stuff. And you might find a hidden gem, is what I'm saying. You're gonna find local repair shops and things of that nature. So that's something to think about. Right up here, they got a library. I used to go to that one all the time. A lot of old folks' homes right here. A lot of the older population, they keep it clean. You can walk around, when you look at a crime element, ain't really no crime element like that. Not like that. They got a lot of them equipment companies. As you can see, it's very, very clean. They put a lot of money in it. They just put these apartments up here, so it's really about to get cracking. They put new townhomes up in here. They got a post office. If you in Maplewood, you got to go to this post office, or you got to go to Oakdale. I don't know why Maplewood doesn't have a post office. Post office to my left, off to my right, they got this new place called Max. More apartment buildings, a bunch of hubs. It reminds you of being somewhere like Newport, but it's in the middle between Oakdale and Maplewood. You got a bunch of thrift stores or bars. I've never been to any of the bars here, but it's right down the street. Maybe I should just stop in and grab a damn beer one day. Got Domino's Pizza over here. As y'all can see, I'm very, 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 very well frequented. Police station right here. North St. Paul Fire Station right here. Pay your water bill right here. Collision off to your left. Domino's Pizza off to your right. Holiday gas station, they all right in there, they okay. Couple little clinics. You know what I'm saying? The Snowman, that's a known thing. Right off of 36 right here. North High School is off to your left. I'm gonna take a left just for the hell of it. Just so y'all can see, it's a cool school. It's decent, like, I mean, you know, it's, I'm not talking about North Minneapolis High, I'm talking about North High. Maplewood has is North High, and they got like, there's a couple other schools that go up towards Oakdale. They have a little bit more money when they start going towards Oakdale and Woodbury. It's you know, it's a decent school, I suppose. I mean, shit, you getting it, it's your tax dollars. So, ain't a lot of windows. You see how they making these schools. A lot of these schools, they look like prisons. I'm just saying. They look just like prisons. But like I said, y'all, I spent a lot of time, you know, and then going into, remember I was working, and see, I was grieving a lot at work. It wasn't no time to take off. Like the PMs, I told him, I said, you know, my mom passed, and he said, your parents ain't gonna be here forever. And I was a little offended when he first told me. He said, when I asked, I said, is there bereavement time? Or there, you know, and I'm asking Adele PM, and he said, Derek, bury her and get back to work. And when I look back, that was the best damn advice he could have gave me. He wasn't gonna trauma bond with me. He wasn't gonna allow me to whine. He wasn't gonna be a cry on the shoulder. He basically said, bury her and get your ass back to work. Because if you sit at home, you're gonna have some problems. You're gonna be sulking, you're gonna be drinking, and he was right. I needed to take my ass back to work. I didn't take no time off. He said, bury her and get back to work. He said, because he told me, he said, we're men. We got to keep it moving. Subway here, the Target's over there. That's a frequent place. He said, man, you got to keep it moving. The money don't stop. He said, you a contractor. And he said, you're a black man. When you stop working, your money starts. And he was right. There ain't nothing that Asian dude told me that wasn't right. He said the marathon continues, or he said some Nipsey shit at that time. He said he said something like something about the marathon or something, but you know, like he ain't know nothing about no rap. But he said, man, this baton don't stop. You can't hold nothing. You got to, you know, she wants you to keep moving. He asked me, he said, what she asked you to do when she was alive? He said, she told me to travel. He said, get on that damn plane. That's what that man told me, and I listened. And I went in 2013, I went to Puerto Rico. I started, you know, she was alive, she was happy. She's like, oh, you went to Puerto Rico. She thought it was the dopest, because she didn't get to take her kids to Puerto Rico. My dad didn't really take us nowhere like that. You know, that's why I was adamant about taking my son to the Deep South, taking him to New Orleans, driving all the way down through Mississippi, so he could see what the descendants of the slaves built. Not somebody that showed up 2 minutes ago and got a lot of shit to say. I'm just saying. So you could see what our folks built. We may not own it, but damn it, we built it. And you still got black farmers down there and stuff like that. They got more black folks down there in the South own more land than niggas up here. When I went down to Arkansas and Memphis, man, a lot of black folks own land down there. I saw with my own eyes. Black folks own shit. Don't never let them tell you that we didn't own shit. I wanted him to see what Mississippi looked like. I wanted him to see what Missouri looked like. So, you know, I took him to the South. He needs to know that. So when somebody shows up talking about your bootstraps and all that, he could be like, look, nigga, you had a whole lot of assistance. We didn't. You know what I'm saying? Hey, history's history. So, you know, I wanted that. I wanted that for my son. I didn't want him to be in the projects. I didn't want him to be living in an apartment, you know, too long. You got a whole damn pandemic. And Neanderthal Brad and Neanderthal Becky is sitting up there, just coughing, not washing their hands, walking around the complex with, I said, no. I gotta buy him a house. So, you know, I kind of broke a lot of those family so-called generational curses within a matter of months. Years and decades of unresolved curses, or so to say. And I broke them in months. And I'm not done. That's not a badge of honor or a trophy. There's still work to be done. Y'all seen this 1,000 times. Y'all know Maplewood. I don't even need to say nothing about Maplewood. But here's what I'm saying, y'all. You know, I'm not trying to be mean. That shit that y'all saw at North St. Paul, that's an opportunity, man. See, when people see, it's like when people look at, man, the 54, where does that go? See, now they done shut the city down. I need to write something down to its limited stop. I'm about to park. I'm about to ask questions. I'm about to get into the question mode. Now, we gonna do this again, y'all. We gonna do another drive-through again. If you think it sucks and it's trash, then let me know. I work for you. You don't work for me. I work for you. Let's be very clear. Let's be very clear about this. I work for y'all. I'm giving y'all content. I work for y'all. If y'all don't like it, let me know. Cause this channel was one thing. I'm just a nigga on the internet, but y'all the ones that make the channel pop. Y'all's comments and y'all watching and stuff. Y'all ain't got to do a damn thing. Y'all could spend time watching fucking Marvel if you want. What time is it? 9 o'clock? I was gonna try to make it. Okay, so look, I'm about to add to this. Let me turn around. I'm adding to this. So look, turn down my AC a little bit. I wanted to kind of go through some of the places that I had frequented throughout the career from, I guess you could say kind of say 2010. Some of those places, they're not in St. Paul. So I kind of covered the St. Paul area, and I wanted to show y'all different places where you could go. Now, I think I'm going to start expanding this damn channel beyond just, okay, IT, I need to get on this bus. Between, you know, IT career stuff and stuff like that. Yeah, that's true. But I'm showing the journey too. And while I'm showing the journey, I want to show the places that I was at and places that y'all may not be familiar with, and neighborhoods and stuff, because that's part of the journey and that's part of the story. I've already made it into the industry already. I wrote 2 books about it. You know, so now it's just content. And then, you know, I'm able to, you know, I started to like doing this because I ain't like being on the camera. I don't come from a world of being on camera. That's not how we grew up. We didn't do that. You know, so it's still a little new to me to a certain degree. So now that I like doing it, I kind of want to show y'all different little pieces. So at some point, I want to try to get a real camera together and maybe get some of the people that's around me that can interview and talk and do little stuff. But let me check out this bus real quick. I'm going to load this up for you guys, and either it's going to be added to the Adventures of DP playlist. Y'all might want to put that in y'all playlist, because at first, when I first started doing them, the quality was a little janky because I was just using different little tools and I was bullshitting around. But then I really started kind of using my phone, my Apple phone, and loading up the storage and using my laptop. So just bear with me. It's going to get better. It's going to get much better. This is, I guess you could call it a digital journal, but this might be a little bit separate. You see what I'm saying? So I'll see y'all in a minute.
Lexington Parkway Station. Connect here to Route 83.
Yeah, as y'all can see, the downtown St. Paul now, the light rail is off the chain. There's dope fiends everywhere. It look crazy. You know, they done let downtown St. Paul get out the way.